This is what is so crazy. There are so many black men being killed on what is essentially a daily basis in America. I can't even keep up at this point, right? That is how much of an atrocity it is. Okay, so I think you may have heard of Rayshard Brooks. He got killed in Atlanta. Another unarmed black man. Just listen to this clip, and then I have a lot to say.
Breaking news overnight in Atlanta.
Demonstrators taking to the streets in a show of anger after a man was fatally shot by police and setting fire to the fast food restaurant where it took place.
The man struggled with police and the shooting caught on camera. You see it right there. An officer involved losing his job and the police chief resigning.
This is a fast-moving story. Let's get the latest now from ABC's Janae Norman. Janae, good morning to you.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, this story was developing throughout much of the night as Atlanta police identified both officers involved and released new body cam and dash camera footage of the incident that led to more protests in that city. Some seeing this as yet another case of unnecessary, excessive, and deadly force by police.
On the heels of weeks of unrest, demonstrators gathering overnight in Atlanta over the fatal shooting of 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks. Police deploying tear gas as demonstrators shut down a highway and even setting this Wendy's, the site of the incident, on fire. The Brooks family attorney speaking out about Rayshard's death.
Before we even get into what happened last night, the one thing that nobody can disagree with is that it shouldn't have happened.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is looking into the deadly incident that started at the restaurant after police responded to a call about Brooks, who was allegedly asleep in his car, blocking the drive-through lane. Newly released police body cam footage shows Brooks perform several sobriety tests.
Will you take a preliminary breath test for me? Just yes or no?
I don't want to refuse anything.
Brooks reportedly failed. Officers claim he resisted arrest before a struggle ensued. Then police say Brooks grabs one of the officers' tasers. In this new video posted to social media by a witness, Brooks is seen running from police, appearing to point the taser at the officers. Then the GBI says officers fired 3 gunshots. Brooks's family outraged by the video.
He wasn't out here committing crimes. He wasn't out here burglarizing, robbing somebody. He wasn't doing all that. That's what hurts us more too, is the fact that we know this. So was his life worth taking?
The firing officer, Garrett Rolfe, was terminated overnight. The other officer, Devin Bronson, placed on administrative duty. This as Atlanta's mayor announced the resignation of police chief Erica Shields. Shields saying in a statement, it's time for the city to move forward and build trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. The Georgia NAACP says Atlanta's police chief resigning is just one step forward.
It's so important now because people are dying now. We don't have the luxury of waiting.
And Brooks' death comes amid nationwide calls for police reform in cases of excessive force. And we have seen swift action in this case, the police chief resigning and that officer fired, all within about 24 hours.
All right. That was essentially the entire event in a nutshell, right? Let me be very clear with you, okay? They showed you that one officer was terminated, the other one was put on administrative leave, whatever that means, and, slap on the wrist, essentially. And then the chief of police also resigned. I can assure you, if people weren't outside protesting right now because of George Floyd, none of that would happen. Those 2 officers would still be on the force, and the chief of police would not have resigned. They only did that because they're scared, and because people showed up to protest. They shut down the highway, and the Wendy's got burned down. I mean, think about this for a second. The only crime that Rayshard Brooks did was being drunk in a driveway at a Wendy's. And they killed him. You can go and watch the body cam footage, the cell phone footage. I think they were talking to this dude for like 20 minutes. The cops were talking to him for like 20 minutes, doing all these like sobriety tests and trying to establish whether he's intoxicated or not. Extremely cooperative, as the white people like to say, right? All you have to do is cooperate with the police, then they won't kill you, right? As if like resisting arrest is some kind of excuse to murder unarmed blacks. That's their logic, their line of thinking. So now you're gonna have people saying like, oh well, man, he shouldn't have taken the taser off of the cop and pointed it at him. Dude, you're not paying attention. You're not listening to me. Those things do not warrant a death sentence. You cannot just randomly pull out a loaded firearm and kill someone, even if they pointed a taser at you. You're a cop. What are you expecting when you're a cop? If you can't handle it, why are you a cop? If you're so easily scared that you have to immediately pull out your gun and kill someone because they pointed a taser at you, maybe you shouldn't be a cop. What are you going to do when someone points a real gun at you? You're going to throw a fucking grenade at them? You're going to pull out a rocket launcher? What are you going to do? Like, this is so completely disproportionate. How do people not see that? Once again, whatever the guy did, didn't have to kill him. I can just give you the example of the UK. No one is saying that law enforcement in the UK is perfect, but in the UK, they do have tasers, okay? They would not have been able to even kill Rayshard Brooks because they don't have guns. So clearly, this whole situation could have been remedied, could have been handled without Rayshard Brooks being killed. This was not necessary. He was not a danger to anyone. Okay? This is what people don't understand. They think that the slightest, I don't even know what to say. They think the slightest, resistance or the slightest protest is an excuse to murder someone. No, it's not. This is insanity. Make up your mind. These right-wingers are so confused about what they believe in. On the one hand, they tell you, oh, America, land of the free and Second Amendment, and I want to walk around and wave my rifle around in the street. And then at the same time, they're shoving that boot, that capitalist authoritarian boot down their throat so hard that they can't even string together a coherent sentence. Make up your mind. Either you're free to do whatever you like, and you got to get the government off of people's backs, as they say, or you're an authoritarian and you absolutely love the state just executing people randomly in the street. Which one is it? Make up your mind. Just insanity, And I can just give you other examples of white people being arrested. They didn't get killed. They didn't get shot, and they done far worse than Rayshard Brooks. I can give you the example of that shooter from, was it Charleston? I think they took him to Burger King. They took him to Burger King after he shot up, he committed a massacre. Don't give me this double standard nonsense. I'm not buying it. I can find you a plethora of clips of white people committing far worse infractions than what Rayshard Brooks did, and they did not get shot or killed by the police. So what is this double standard, this two-tier system where whites are treated one way and blacks are treated another? The slightest resistance, we're going to kill you. Right? It doesn't work. If you are black in America, anything you do is wrong in the eyes of the government, of the establishment, and of whites. Anything. Whether you're already on the floor, you're handcuffed. Oh, you're in the wrong. No, clearly you're in the wrong. You pick up the taser. Oh, you're in the wrong. Anything you do in their eyes is a reason to murder you. They haven't even taken you down to the station. They haven't even booked you with a crime yet. You haven't even seen a judge. You haven't even been to a court yet. But they want to kill you. What the fuck is that? What is this extrajudicial massacring? Just in broad daylight, whenever they feel like this trigger-happy cowboy nonsense. He's black, shoot him. I'm speechless. I didn't read the news for like less than 24 hours. I pick up my phone and they've killed another black man. What is this addiction, this psychotic addiction to commit state-sanctioned murder of unarmed blacks? There's a real sickness going on here. And Rayshard Brooks is not the only one. But I want to show you another clip from the DA in Atlanta. Listen to what he had to say, okay?
I can tell you definitely that probably sometime around Wednesday, we will be making a decision in this case. When I saw that footage that you just displayed, that conversation went on about 22 minutes with Mr. Brooks talking with these two officers. And it's very difficult when you see it, when you see the demeanor of Mr. Brooks, to imagine that some short time later, it ends up with him being dead. I thought that it was cordial. He was very cooperative. He answered the questions that the officers asked. He did not seem to present any kind of threat to anyone. And so the fact that it would escalate to his death just seems unreasonable. And Frederica, I guess when you see it, you understand why Mayor Bottom said just because you should do something is different than if you can do something, because it just seems like this is not the kind of conversation and an incident that should have led to someone's death.
They didn't have to kill him, man. They just didn't have to do that. This is absolutely absurd. You know, no one is saying that it's correct to grab the pepper spray or the taser or whatever it is, the baton or the gun from the cop. Yeah, sure. Okay, but it's not a reason either to kill someone. You don't have to escalate it to that, do you? This is ridiculous. Again, what are you going to do if someone points a real gun at you? You're going to pull out a rocket launcher? You're going to get into a tank? This is disproportionate. This is ridiculous. These are trigger-happy morons. I think it's both evil and it's incompetence at the same time. And so they're saying they're going to bring charges against the cops. Again, man, you know, the thing is, like, okay, what's the point if you keep charging the cops, one here, one there, and then the system doesn't change? Well, you going to let them keep murdering people every week? Obviously, they're not deterred. I want, again, to put this into context. You have people protesting across the entire country in the United States because of police brutality, because of racism, because unarmed blacks are being killed. And with impunity, they just keep this culture going. Knowing what is going on in the country, these guys didn't care in Atlanta. They just shot Rayshard Brooks in the back 3 times. They just don't care. Clearly, you have a real big issue here. This is beyond just charging one cop, right? Or jailing one cop. You have a systemic racism and oppression at a systemic level here. Again, let me put this into context, man. These people are not even being charged with a crime. They haven't been tried. They haven't even seen a judge. Nothing. They haven't been taken down to the station, and they're just killing them with impunity. No. This is unacceptable. This is a sickness. This is psychotic.